Okay, it's a little better. Hi guys. So I'm on again for the last video. I kind of have to get this in because I have set all this crap up behind me, so I wanted to get it in so I could put some of it away. Because this weekend I have a couple of ideas for other videos. So one more for tonight, and then I am done. But I wanted to go through some of the millions of different forms of divination out there, which I'm just realizing there's a couple that I left downstairs that I could do. But anyways, we're going to start with what I have here. Okay, there are so many forms of divination. When you're a beginning witch, that's one of the things that, at least for me, really intrigued me about being a witch. And when I really started delving into some of the magical workings that you can do as a witch, one of the things that really intrigued me is divination. And there's so many different forms, and I thought, well, how do you know what form is good for you and stuff? And it really is about trial and error. Some forms of divination you just really click with, and some of them not so much, and some of them you try really hard and it just never happens. For instance, I know with tarot, I tried tarot. When I was a beginner witch, I bought a couple decks, I tried to work with them, I tried to read books. I kind of lost interest because, I think partly because I have ADD and my mind just wanders, and I just wanted to pick up the cards and know how to do it. And tarot is a little bit more work than that. And so I put it down for years, and I didn't pick it back up again until maybe the last 2 or 3 years. And what I can say about tarot is it's a great form of divination. It's a great form of self-reflection. You can absolutely use it for divination. I find it a better tool for self-reflection. But if you are looking to learn the tarot, the biggest thing I can tell you to do is to journal. Get a tarot journal and pull your cards every day. Pull yourself a 3-card spread every day, past, present, future. Pull yourself. When I do a 3-card spread now, every day I do at least 3 cards. I don't always post what I pull, but usually for me it's, okay, what can I expect my day to be? That's card 1. Card 2 is, what do I need to look out for? What is coming at me today that I might make me misstep? What do I look out for today? And card 3 is, what can I look to help me today? So either that's a person or an energy, or, oh, you know what, I just have to kind of learn to let some things go today. And then write that 3-card spread in your tarot journal. I have one here. There it is. Hopefully I found it. Because the more you, at least for me, it depends on how you learn, but the more you pull your cards, and if you have to say it out loud, that's a good one, is to say the 3 cards like even if you're pulling for yourself, like you're sitting in front of someone doing a reading for someone else. Say, okay, let's find out what kind of day it's going to be. What can I expect today? Pull that card. Oh, look. This is the 5 of Wands. So I can kind of expect that people are going to be coming at me a little bit, that there'll be some conflict in there, but it's not a major conflict. It's kind of playful banter that I should be able to get through. Just understand that it's not going to be straight and narrow. And so anyway, journal and say it out loud, and pull cards every day. Pull at least 1 card for yourself, and practice for tarot, at least for me. There's so many other forms of divination though, and I have tried a lot. One thing that I forgot downstairs, so I'm not going to run down and get it because it's late already tonight, is charms, casting charms. That is a great form. I did that a lot before. I have my own set of charms. I don't cast them a whole lot for myself anymore. I do once in a while. I'll kind of pull them out for a couple weeks and do some castings. I don't pull charms for anyone else because charms is a very personalized form of divination. You really have to pick out charms that say something to you. And so I don't find that I can pick up other people's energies as easily. But that's just me. So when I say divination, there's a couple different things. There is reading the future. I'm going to put it in this perspective. When we are talking about increasing our psychic ability, divination to me is reaching out to the spirit world, to connect to the spirit world, either to further your own path, or to connect to another entity in the spirit world, or to a little bit of both. So that's what I'm talking about. I'm going to start with talking about Ouija. Ouija board and spirit board are very similar. Now, I will tell you that the planchette, okay, there's, for the Ouija board specifically, and for spirit boards usually, there's a planchette that is supposed to go here. It's shaped like this, and it has usually a clear plastic or clear glass little round insert that you can see through, so you know where on the board it stopped. And it usually has, it looks like little nails or tacks. I've been meaning to make myself one because ours kind of went on a walkabout and it's been missing for a long time. But the Ouija board looks like this. So, yes, no answers. Goodbye means the spirit is leaving. So you have numbers 1 through 0 and then all the letters here so they can spell out whatever they want. And the point of the Ouija board is to connect with a spirit who has crossed over, or to one of your spiritual guardians or ancestors. You can do it alone. You can do it with more than, you can do it with 5 people. It's whoever can kind of fit around the board. And you place your hand lightly on the planchette. And for me, there's a couple things that I want to make sure that I explain. A Ouija board or a spirit board. Now, when I say spirit board, usually a spirit board is very similar to this. But it's made of wood normally, and it is it's like pyrography. It's burned onto there, the yes, no, and the different ABCD, the different letters and numbers. Whatever you're using, when you begin a session, and I would call a session, it's time to sit down and I'm going to use the spirit board, or we are going to use the spirit board. I would do a couple things. First of all, clear your own energy. I would say aloud or in your head some kind of spiritual protection, just to say, I am opening up this spirit board. I'm opening up my mind and myself to receive messages from the other side for the greater good of myself and those who are present. And then you can begin. Okay, it's just you could even make yourself a shield, an energetic shield if you want. It's not something to mess around with, though. And I will tell you that it works. It works. When someone doesn't believe in it, it still works. It works. The other thing that I want to be clear on, and the reason that we have lost our planchette is because we never kept our planchette with the board. The planchette is like an opening to the spirit world, and you don't ever want to leave your planchette on the board and walk away from it. Say you're done with that session, you don't want to walk away, because that is an opening to the spirit world. And so it's like a doorway. You don't want to keep that doorway open. It's when you're all done with the session, I always just say, you know, thank you to all the spirits, guides, guardians that are out there. And now we close this session. We bid you farewell back to where you came from. And thank you for coming on this journey with us and for teaching us what you have taught us and for using me as a conduit. And now it's time for you to return. Blessings to you. And take that planchette off the board. Please, 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 please. Just don't leave the planchette on the board. I just, you know, some people will say that's ridiculous, but I can tell you that it's a problem. And I was going to have my son come in. He's playing video games, but just, he has stories. He's a medium by birth. And so he has stories, too, of that. So, now that I've scared y'all a little, so the Ouija board and the spirit board are the same. You can use it with a planchette. You can make your own planchette out of, you know, a little piece of wood, out of whatever. You can also use so I have my little tree here of all of mine. Hold on one second. Let me put this. Okay, so I just wanted to make sure I got them back up here. So this is my pendulum tree. I have many different kinds of pendulums. I have many different stones. I have some that don't have any stone. They have, see this one, this is the part where you hold it. See the little scully? And then the pendulum is a little turtle. I use different stones for different intentions. You don't need different stones and stuff. I actually, because the pendulum was one of the first divination forms that I used that worked very well for me, I got a bunch of them. And I haven't gotten a new one in quite a while, but you can make them if you have a necklace that you don't use anymore, and you have any kind of pendant that has a point at the end of it, you can make them. So there's a couple different things that you can do. One is, if you don't have a spirit board or Ouija board, you can, I don't know if this will work on camera, because I don't know if I can clear myself enough, but you can ask the pendulum to show you what yes looks like and wait for that pendulum to swing in a direction. Okay, so yes is a circular motion for this. I want you to show me what no is. And there's no. It's back and forth. I don't know if you can see this, but so that will, it kind of connects you to your pendulum, and it shows, so you can ask yes or no questions to your pendulum. You can also use your pendulum with your spirit board, with your Ouija board. And it's the same kind of thing. The planchette moves across. Well, the pendulum will too. If you open that up to spirit, which I'm not going to do here right this second because I don't have the time. But it will point to yes. It will point to no. It will spell things out for you. It will hover over certain letters. So you can use a pendulum for any spirit board. You can use it without the spirit board for yes or no questions. I would suggest cleansing the pendulum before you use it each time. Even something as simple as either keep them in salt, which some people I know do, or underneath the earth stuff, or the same way that you would cleanse a crystal. You can cleanse a sage it. You can use sage, Palo Santo, rosemary. So the same way you would cleanse it before using it. just to clear out any energies, because crystals will hold that vibrational energy in from the last time, or from stuff that was in the room. It really picks up stuff that's in the room sometimes too. So that is an idea of pendulum use. What else? So one, of course, that I really wanted to be involved with when I first started was crystal balls. And the first crystal ball that I got was this one. And when I got this crystal ball, it's funny, at the time I was like, oh, it's not a perfect crystal ball. Now, I don't know if I'll be able to show you. But, oh, there you go, see? It has little imperfections in it because it is real quartz. I would recommend even more imperfections than this one. This one doesn't have a whole lot of imperfections. It has a few, but not a lot. It has a few little scratches on it and stuff like that. I actually, especially if you're a beginner with the crystal ball, more imperfections mean you will be able to see symbols easier if there's more imperfections. If there's no imperfections in your crystal ball and you are trying to see, now when you start with a crystal ball, I'm not going to go over if you'd like, we can kind of go through lessons in each of these divination things, but just a quick overview of all of them is to stare in the center of your crystal ball until your eyes kind of grow fuzzy a little bit. And at that point, you want to move your crystal ball. That's why this is a good shape and size. This is a good size. And I was very surprised that a smaller size is more easily read, because you're able to move it around to see different symbols in there. And just like you're going to get a dictionary of symbols with your spirit guides, you also are going to get a dictionary of symbols with your crystal ball. Okay? And it's the same kind of thing. You're going to see, look there, I see an arrow. So what does that mean? It means, in my experience, after working with my crystal ball for months, now years, but I began to get a dictionary of symbols. An arrow to me means this person needs to really move forward. They have felt stuck lately, and that arrow is symbolizing, you know what, it's time to move on, to keep moving. You're stuck into something that means that you've been very stagnant, and it is time to keep moving. Now it's time to move on. You will see more symbols with the more imperfections that are in your crystal ball. And you want to, especially to start out with. If you start out with a crystal ball that does not have very many imperfections, I would recommend bringing in a candle and using the crystal ball in front of the candle, because the candle flame will move enough to give you some other symbols. If you're not seeing a whole lot of symbols, change it up a little. Put a brightly colored tablecloth down and let it sit on the tablecloth and move it around a little until you begin to get that dictionary of symbols. And it's between you and your crystal ball. So your symbol for stuff will be different than my symbol for stuff. Like I said, the symbols that you get, what does that say to you? And then you say that out loud and practice, practice, practice. The more you practice, the more symbols you will have in your dictionary of terms for your crystal ball, okay? The other kind of crystal ball that I also use is a dark or a black crystal ball. And this, when it is a solid crystal ball, you can still use it. I would use a candle, though, in front of this, because to me, I need something moving across there that I'm looking at in order to get the symbols that I need. Practice, practice, practice. The more you do it, the more symbols will stand out to you. I would suggest starting alone and just seeing what symbols pop in. See what comes up for you. more practice, the more you'll see them. Okay, so scrying. Scrying is done a couple different ways. Actually, there's a lot of different ways. Not putting water onto my Ouija board. Okay, so scrying can be done with candlelight alone. So you can light a candle. I don't even know what happened to my lighter. It's over here. Did I put it in my pocket? Oh no, it's over here. Okay, so I have a fan, so I don't know if this will even light. Oh yeah. Okay, so if you light that candle flame, and the same thing, the key is to look at whatever you're trying to interpret and kind of see, look at that candle flame. Ooh, there's energy in here. It's flying. To kind of allow your eyes to soften, to stare at it long enough that it, remember those 3D images that people used to have, the posters, in order to see the 3D image, it's, you kind of stared at it until your eyes went a little bit soft, so they kind of unfocused on it, but you were still looking at it. So that's what I do. And then in the dancing flames, you will begin to see symbols. So I'm seeing an old woman in like a hooded cape. And so to me that means a spiritual mentor, a visitor that is coming to mentor spiritually. Again, same thing. Practice, practice, practice. The other couple ways to scry is a regular mirror. You can put that candle in front of a regular mirror. Sometimes you have an easier time. Or you can buy this is a really cheap mirror. And you can paint it with a glossy black paint. And it will do the same as your black crystal ball. Okay? Put it in front of the flame and you'll begin to see symbols. The other way to scry is with a bowl of water. So this is, I have a specific bowl that I use specifically for scrying. I would recommend dark color on the inside. It allows you to see those symbols a little bit easier. So again, dark color. I have had this bowl almost since, I think I was 6 months in as a witch. And this, I will tell you, everybody's different. This water scrying to me was the easiest way I found to begin to get that dictionary of symbols together, was water scrying. I don't know why. I'm an air person, so I'm not sure. It should have been, according to that, it should have been more candle, but I did it with candlelight. So you have the candlelight, so it's reflecting on the water, and you can look in that water. And I tend to move stuff, so I will either knock on the table, I will, whatever. If there's, the flame is flickering, that's usually enough, but you want to get enough motion so that things are changing in your bowl and you are starting to see symbols within the water. All of this is subjective. It is your interpretation of what you're looking at. And so because of that, do not be afraid to make mistakes. Like I said, when I first started my mediumship class, I was really worried about making mistakes. I didn't want to read other people at first because I thought, I don't want to say to them, I am getting this symbol of this, and they don't know what I'm talking about. But at first, it's like you have to make those mistakes. You have to feel someone out. So hopefully you have someone that in your life that you can say, hey, I'm going to sit down and try to read for you. And I want to start to throw some symbols at you, or some ideas that I think these symbols are trying to say. And I want you to tell me what when I'm on track, when I'm, oh yeah, that makes sense to me. And I also want to make sure that you tell me when that doesn't make any sense, because I'm trying to build my vocabulary with this psychic energy, and I need to know. I need to know the truth so that I can build that definition, the dictionary of symbols for yourself. Some people will hear and you'll say, oh, I hear bells ringing. Don't forget, there's other ways to do this besides visually, but this is mainly visual. Now, the pendulums and stuff, that is a lot about feeling. So if you're empathic, that's a lot more about that. The most of the scrying, though, is going to be visual. So it's clairvoyant stuff. You can practice mediumship, and I'll try to go through this again. And it's such a huge, expansive subject. You can practice the auditory. We talked a little bit about trying to hear voices and think about songs and stuff. You can begin to practice auditory if you're clairaudient. Psychic mediumship readings with someone else in the same way. And I would like to do a video specifically on mediumship itself. So that would be much more with connecting with those who have crossed over. There is everybody, I believe everybody has the ability to do that. It's just about practice. The more I practice at it, the better I get. And then the more confidence you get. You know, you start off and you're like, oh, I don't want to say to someone, is this person, did you have someone in your life that was male that crossed over and it was a younger male because I'm seeing this or I'm hearing this, or and have them go, no, don't know what you're talking about. It's hard to put yourself out there, but the more you do it, the more your vocabulary with the spirit world, what they're trying to tell you and what you're interpreting from that gets better. It gets better. So it's really all about practice. Try to find a friend that is interested in that stuff too, and sit down together and just try to read each other a little bit. When I did my mediumship class, it was weird because I didn't know anybody else, and but the instructors were great people. They were wonderful. They were a couple, and they are very good, and so they made it more comfortable. It still was hard because sometimes I thought, I don't know, I don't want to say this. We did a couple where we talked about past lives, and it seems like the more I practice, the more people are like, oh, that makes a lot of sense. This is why this is why this. So we'll talk about it. One little teeny tip that I'll give you that I did learn from mediumship class is that when you are beginning to try to connect to the spirit world, this is a weird tip, put the tip of your tongue right behind your teeth, up on the top of your palate, your upper palate. That is connected directly to your third eye, and it helps to open your third eye. These people that I learned from Lilydale. So if you know what Lilydale is, it's like a whole community of psychic energy. It's an incredible place in New York here, and they are really great at teaching psychic gifts kind of stuff, and this is where these people learned. And so that was a tip to me that I never forgot, because it really helped to, I don't know about you, but I know I can feel it. If I do that, I put my tongue right on that upper palate right behind my teeth, it's like I can feel my third eye. And if you can't, then perhaps your third eye isn't opened, has never been opened, and I'll try to do kind of a lesson on how to open your third eye for the first time, maybe this weekend. Let me know if you're interested in that, and let me know what you guys think. I know this is such a big subject, and I can't believe it's a half an hour again and we're here, but this is kind of the introductory stuff that I want to get out of the way so that we can really delve in deeper. Let me know what forms you're interested in, what you would like to learn more about, what you want me to go through step by step. Well, you know, it can be a whole section of the series if you want. So I hope everything's great, and I'll see you this weekend. Blessings.